What's going on, everybody? I'm going to be breaking down the two biggest trades of today's trade deadline. If you're new to the channel, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button right down below. We do a hockey podcast every Wednesday. We're talking about NHL, talking about beer league, really just having conversations. We don't take ourselves too serious. We're here to make you guys laugh. Today's going to be a little bit more analytical. I wanted to have fun with it and break down this trade a little bit more. Our main mission of this podcast is just to make you laugh and have a good time talking hockey. We poke fun at a lot of fan bases, but at the end of the day, nothing super serious. We're all just having fun here. But let's get into it. I'm going to break down the Mikko Rantanen trade and the Brad Marchand trade. Let's go. All right, for this first trade, we've got Mikko Rantanen to the Dallas Stars. Now, the Hurricanes have gotten some criticism on this trade as a whole, obviously getting Rantanen and then just trading him away a couple months later, which I don't think we've ever seen in recent memory. We basically got two blockbuster trades all within a couple months span out of one guy. So in this trade, the Hurricanes gave up Mikko Rantanen, but in return, they got Logan Stankoven, a 2026 first, a 2026 third, a 2028 first round pick, and a 2027 third round pick, all for one guy. Now, looking at it, yes, giving up Rantanen is a big loss for them, but overall, for the original trade that had happened, they got rid of Marty Necas, Chris Drury, a 2025 second and a 2026 fourth to the Colorado Avalanche. And in return, now that they have gotten rid of Rantanen, they've gotten Logan Stankoven, Taylor Hall, and 2 first-round picks out of it. Mikko Rantanen didn't even want to sign with the Hurricanes. He wasn't willing to talk. And the past couple years, obviously the Hurricanes getting Jake Gensel last year and then losing him in free agency, probably didn't want that to happen again. On top of that, Mikko Rantanen in 13 games played only had 2 goals and 4 assists. Now, I know it's a small sample size to really judge a player, but for what they gave up, I am sure that they're wanting a lot more out of a superstar that they just traded for. Whether that just didn't work with line combinations, whatnot, I'm sure there's more to that. And again, 13 games really isn't a whole lot of time to really judge a player, but 6 points in 13 games is not exactly what you want out of your future superstar. And especially if he's asking for 13, 12 million. I know that there was a lot of talks with Mikko Rantanen's agent, Mikko Rantanen himself, being stern on that $13 million a year. However, this trade did include a trade and sign. The Dallas Stars agreed to trade Stankoven and all those picks as long as Mikko Rantanen signs with them. So they had some dealing to do this morning, making sure that Rantanen signs that piece of paper. He ended up signing for $12 million a year. Now, what's interesting is that the Canes had offered him 12. I want to say the Colorado Avalanche also had offered him around $13 million. He declined in both. There were some talks that maybe it's because Texas has no state income tax, so he'd be making, I think it was like $4 million more over the duration of his contract. I have a feeling that that's not the entire case, is that it was just comes down to how much money he's taking home. At least I hope not. You are a professional hockey player. You're getting to play a kid's game professionally and make millions of dollars. If you're really being greedy over those $4 million, you have every right to be. You're a professional hockey player. You know, you sacrificed a lot in your life, but I just don't really see that as being the case as to why he would have not want to sign with them. Overall for Dallas, though, to add him and be willing to part ways with a great prospect in Logan Stankoven. He's in the Calder race. He was definitely a key part of that team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Obviously, they didn't make it all the way to the end, but nonetheless, great player. And giving up 2 first-round picks in the future. For the Hurricanes, they're in a weird spot. I don't really know if you're going to retool this team or rebuild. Stankoven's a great young player, but the Hurricanes as a whole are kind of in this weird spot where they have a ton of talent, but nothing has worked out for them in the playoffs, which is unfortunate. As a Sharks fan, been there. Sometimes you got to take risks to win cups. Bill Zito in Florida has clearly shown that last year with the Florida Panthers win. Overall for the Hurricanes, be getting rid of Necas, Drury, and a couple second, 4th round picks. And in return, you're getting a great prospect and 2 additional first-round picks is definitely something to be proud of. Ultimately, would you love for Mikko Rantanen to be a superstar that wants to stay with your team long-term, win you cups? Sure, but that's just not the case. Mikko Rantanen did not want to sign there, and there's nothing you can do. You cannot risk him leaving in the offseason yet again and giving up these players to potentially be bounced at the second round again. Now for Dallas, this is obviously best case scenario for them, right? Obviously you give up 2 first-round picks, but you're getting in a superstar. Looking at the forwards top to bottom, we got Jason Robertson, Roope Hintz, Mikko Rantanen, Mason Marchand, Matt Duchene, Mikael Granlund, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, and you've also got Sagan on LTIR. On defense, you've got Miro Heiskanen, who's out with an injury right now, but expected to return in April. You've also got Ottinger in net. Yeah, you give up Logan Stankoven, who is an awesome prospect, but you don't really need him right now. And you also don't need those first-round picks. If you can get rid of those and bring in Mikko Rantanen, this is an all-out win for the Stars, and the West just got a whole lot scarier just from this one trade. Mikko Rantanen ended up signing as well, those 8-year extension. Now just another superstar that's already on your stacked roster. Wyatt Johnston also signed an extension today as well. This team's going to be scary for the next 4 years. The hardest part is winning in playoffs. The Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in all of sports. I'll stand by that. Not only just because of the long 82-game season, but mix that with the fact that it's a physical game. And then in playoffs, it gets even more physical. And players are getting hurt left and right. You got to battle injuries. You got to battle everything. You're playing a team 7 times every other night. And in any other sport, that's just not the case. Basketball, I know, is another 82-game season, same format. But it's really not the same. These players are on another level at that point. This Stars team is definitely a favorite of mine to win and go on to the Stanley Cup final. I still think Vegas has a chance as well. So if Pete DeBoer can get over that hump and actually get a Stanley Cup, we'll see if that comes true. But I'm really excited to watch this Stars team. They're going to be a fun team to watch. But another team that's going to be really fun to watch now is the Florida Panthers. And that's the second trade on here. This Brad Marchand trade is definitely one of the biggest trades of all time. I feel like we say that a lot and kind of throw that word around a lot. But when it happened a minute before the trade deadline today, I lost my mind. His name was thrown around a lot, whether he was going to get traded or not. I had heard that he could potentially go to Vegas as well. But when they finally announced that he was going to be a Florida Panther, that was the last team that I was really expecting him to go to. The biggest reason is that Boston and Florida clearly have a very storied rivalry the past couple of years, and Brad Marchand's in the center of it. Okay, live reaction. I just got the notification with Brad Marchand's return. The Boston Bruins receive a 2027 second-round conditional pick. It will become a 2027 or 2028 first-round pick if Florida wins 2 rounds of the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs and Marchand appears in at least 50 of the team's playoff games. So if the Panthers make it to the conference finals this year with Marchand playing 50% of the games, that pick then turns into a 2027 or 2028 first-round pick. Oh my God. I don't know what Don Sweeney is doing with this trade. He has absolutely destroyed the franchise of the Boston Bruins in less than 24 hours. Really in the span of like 6 hours. Speaking of dismantling, honestly, the Florida Panthers have dismantled the Boston Bruins in the last 3 years. Let's give a little timeline here. So the Panthers in 2023 came back to a 3-1 series in the first round against the best regular season team of all time, the Boston Bruins, and Patrice Bergeron's last season. Fast forward to the next season, Bergeron retires. 2024, the Bruins eliminate the Leafs, round 1, game 7. Crazy comeback series. Leafs almost did it, come back from 3-1. That would have been probably the end of Boston as well right there. But they prevailed game 7 in the TD Garden. Pastrnak wins it. They go on to the second round. The Panthers walk them 4-2. If I remember correctly, Panthers were up 3-1 at one point. Boston won 1 game, and then Panthers just destroyed them. And then they went on to win the Stanley Cup. Matthew Tkachuk has a ring. 2025 now, current day, Panthers acquire Brad Marchand for a bag of pretzels, essentially. If you're a Bruins fan, the past 3 years have probably been a roller coaster of emotions for you. You have that 2023 loss. That one probably hurts the most. 2024, it's like, okay, they went on to win the Stanley Cup. Then you have the offseason scare with Jeremy Swayman, not coming to a deal with him, not sure what's going to happen. He's not practicing with the team in camp, and you don't know what's happening. He eventually signs. You've got Swayman. Allmark has been traded already, so you split up that duo, but, you're like, Swayman is our rock star. Now the Bruins are barely even in contention for playoff. and they decide to trade away their captain. The leader of their team, they decide to trade away for, again, a bag of pretzels. If I'm a Bruins fan, Don Sweeney is definitely on my hit list, and he's definitely public enemy number one for me. What's crazy to me is that now Marchand is going to be playing on a team, that team being his biggest rival in the last 3 years, Sam Bennett. If you remember last year in the playoffs, Sam Bennett laid a dirty hit, I'll admit it, a dirty hit on Brad Marchand. I can't play it in this video because NHL will take it down. And then Matthew Tkachuk proceeds to tell him, quote, "I've never seen a captain quit on his team before." Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, and Brad Marchand all together have been going at it these past 3 years. Now we get to see the three of them team up together. I think this Brad Marchand trade is perfect. I think if you're a Bruins fan, again, you're probably not happy about it, but taking my fandom out of it, I'm a Sharks fan. We suck. I don't really care what happens in the playoffs. I like to root for a team and see if they can make it. Last year was the Florida Panthers. The year before that was the Florida Panthers. This year is going to be the Florida Panthers as well. To be able to watch these three players essentially recreate the Slapshot movie, it's must-see TV. After the Four Nations tournament we had, this is setting up to be another great playoff run. The Panthers are a gritty team, and Brad Marchand fits that perfectly. As crappy as it may seem, or whatever hate you have for Marchand as a fan, I get it. As a Sharks fan, if Brad Marchand or Matthew Tkachuk came on my team, I'd love them. But if I was playing them in the Stanley Cup Finals, you bet your ass I'd hate them. Matthew Tkachuk won't be playing in the regular season, but he is on LTIR right now, and I imagine they're going to do the Vegas Golden Knights / Tampa Bay Lightning LTIR magic trick, where he is going to be ready for Game 1. Bill Zito had confirmed that he's pretty confident Matthew Tkachuk's going to be back for playoffs, so I'm sure we'll see them on a line together, and whoever that team is that they're playing against, I am genuinely terrified for, because they're probably going to have to see a therapist afterwards because of the mental torture that those three are going to put them through. So let's talk about where the Boston Bruins are at now at this point. After March 7th, you got rid of your captain plus other players, which I'll name later. Where do you go from here? Do you rebuild? Do you retool? You've got three players that are in their prime. You've got David Pastrnak, you've got Charlie McAvoy, and you've got Jacob Swayman. Boston's prospect pool is ranked 30th in the league as of January. So there's no prospects coming up that you have that you can rely on, that you can hope that can develop. You have nothing there. What do you do from here now, Boston? What are you guys going to do? Rebuild? Retool? I think it's time to tear it all down. Get rid of Pasta, get rid of McAvoy, get rid of Swayman. You're probably going to have to do it around the draft or within the next year. I'm not saying that you can do it right when that trade opens up come draft day, but at least get rid of one of them on draft day. If there's anything to do, I think getting rid of one of them, one of those three names on draft day to secure a high draft pick is your best bet. Pastrnak is 28 years old. He just re-signed with you. His trade value is only going to go down every day. It might peak, trade deadline next year. You could wait till then. Till then, it's just going to keep going down. He's getting older. He's in his prime. So it's not like he's, going to be tapering off at all. But his trade value is the highest it's ever going to be right now. And yesterday, it was even higher than it is today. So I think it's time that they tear it all down. The issue with that is, how do you do that to the fans? How do you get rid of those three names and not at least try something? But unfortunately, there's really no other direction to go. Unless you can, pray and hope that one of these draft picks is going to pan out and help out your team. The thing is, if you trade any three of those players, you can definitely get a pick out of it, and you can probably get a pretty talented prospect out of it as well. You could get a couple first-round picks and maybe a couple prospects for David Pastrnak. Same with Charlie McAvoy. All eyes were on him in the Four Nations tournament. He was a great player in that tournament, and you have to commit to the rebuild. And getting rid of Marchand is not really considered a retooling because of what you got back. You got a 2027 second-round pick. That is 2 years from now. Maybe you're hoping the Panthers fall off or that you're going to be in a spot to rebuild, and maybe you will at that point, but I think it's time to just blow it all up. I don't understand how you trade two players to divisional rivals to help them go win a Stanley Cup if you're truly trying to retool, because that's not going to help you out at all. Now, maybe Brad Marchand is just a rental for the Panthers. Maybe he comes back and re-signs in the summer. You could cope all you want with that fact. If I was Brad Marchand and I was a cornerstone player, a captain of your team, and got traded to a divisional rival for a bag of chips, why would you want to re-sign? Why would you want to come back? So I don't see him coming back in the summer at all. But, crazy things have happened clearly today. But yeah, I'm really excited to see Marchand play for the Panthers. He fits that brand of hockey. He fits that gritty, get down deep, bang bodies kind of hockey. Overall, crazy trade deadline today. Definitely one of the top ones in the last couple of years, I would say, just with the big names. And I also think it may have been a little underwhelming for the majority of the day, but within the past couple of weeks, all the trades that have been made that we've been talking about on the podcast, even those trades, like this has been a crazy just month span of hockey. I'm super excited to watch this playoff push now. It's my favorite part of the season. After trade deadline's done, now it's all back to hockey. Less drama, a little bit more hockey. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to us. We've got new episodes out every Wednesday. Wednesday just seems like a long time from now, so I just wanted to make a video about these two big trades and what it means for these teams, specifically the Brad Marchand trade. But yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe. Our podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube as well. We're in this beautiful studio. Just started doing recordings here at SB Studios in Boise. So thanks for watching today, and we will catch you on Wednesday.